All right, as we do every Tuesday morning, we like to break down stories from the three levels of government with CTV political commentator Scott Reid. He's in studio now. Okay, good to see you, Scott. This is a really interesting story because, of course, federally regulated industry that we are in here. And the CBC sort of gets in and out of the news sometimes. This time is for some pretty large bonuses being paid out, which just continues to continue this narrative about our national broadcaster.
So we don't talk a ton about CBC here on CTV. Exactly. It's kind of like Pepsi talking about Coke. But what's been happening over the course of the last number of months, parliamentarians have been asking the president of CBC, Catherine Tate. She actually was asked directly in committee appearances before the House of Commons, you know, what were you going to do up bonuses? A number of employees obviously were let go at CBC. There are other challenges to programming and so on and so forth. And she declined to answer. And they've been refusing to disclose whether or not bonuses would be paid out. And you've heard the union complaining, you've heard others complaining. And now Canadian Press has found out through access to information, it appears as though about $18 million in bonuses went to senior executives and others. And, you know, that's maybe not the end of the world. Perhaps it was deserved, whatever. You can have an argument about that. But the resistance of CBC's leadership to disclosing and or defending these bonuses at the same time that all these challenges are happening, here's why I raise it. The Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre have immediately tagged this as sickening and insulting. Sickening, insulting. Not, we have questions about this and whether or not they're good value for money. Sickening and insulting. And the Conservatives have committed expressly over and over and over again. And in a way, I don't think people have registered that they intend to defund CBC. CBC English is going down like a broken kite if the Conservatives win the next election. And the reason I raise all of this is for the CBC president to resist parliamentary calls, to be transparent on this at the same time that she's under challenge from her own employees, and you've got a potential next prime minister who says we're going to put an end to you. Why on earth are we not seeing a more vigorous defense of CBC? Are you not making the case for its value? Rather than make bad news, why aren't you trying to make the case and make it hard on the Conservatives to put an end to an institution that's existed for 90 years?
Do you have any sense of why that might be?
I don't think she's very good. I mean, I hate to personalize it, but what in hell is going on over there? We know they're literally marching into the cannon fire. If you look at the polls, Poilievre's ahead by 20%. So you have to assume, if you're handicapping this at this point, it looks like he's going to be prime minister. You know that he means it when he says he's going to end CBC. And you know that you're going to have to put an appeal to the public if there's any chance of salvation. I personally believe that CBC, I think we, as a private broadcaster, are better when challenged by CBC. I think CBC, absolutely. I think CBC has served the country well over the years. It probably needs to be renewed. It probably needs to be reimagined. But the current leadership, other than making bad news, it's making no news at all, and that could be its Waterloo.
Wow, okay, that's going to be something to watch so closely, like you said, just based on where the polls are right now. Let's return to something that you brought up last week. I wasn't here, but I know you were talking about the Greenbelt, the Ford government. All of a sudden, we're sort of finding out more and more about this story that it's been more than a year now, but it won't go away.
I wanted to bring this up because a lot of people ask me, Scott, can you read the future? And the answer is apparently yes. Because
I got
last
some
week,
questions about Lotto Max then.
You bet. So last week, what are we going to talk about the province here? What's going on? Not a lot of news. And I'm like, well, where is this RCMP investigation at? So we just started raising the question. It seemed odd that so much time had passed. We hadn't heard an update. I mused and speculated as to whether or not something might be up. 3 days later, Rob Benzie, Toronto Star bureau chief at Queen's Park, breaks a story saying the RCMP, the O division, which stands for, oh my God, we're in deep trouble, right? The O division of RCMP is indeed investigating, and they are doing interviews. The premier said, I have nothing to hide, which is what everyone who has nothing to hide says. Bad clip. But the story suggested that the RCMP are investigating witnesses, not suspects. So it seems like, just following up on our musings of last week, we have a sequel. It seems like this investigation is very much in the swing. We don't know if that means it's ever going to result in charges. But if they're talking to potential witnesses, you talk to any cop in the world, what they say is they're squeezing people to get them to say more than they want to for the people that they have in mind. So clearly they have a theory as to what occurred here. and they're not letting go of this. This could be potential problems. So just put this up on the old marker board, because this could be trouble down the road.
Watch this space. Yeah. Okay, quickly, let's talk about the rail path extension. Chopper 24 is actually above it for us this morning here. This is pretty significant for the city.
$150 million for 2 kilometers.
That's the thing, yeah.
2 kilometers. I did the math because I'm super smart with a calculator. That is $7.5 million for every 100 meters, right? You can run 100 meters in 9.7 seconds. I know I've watched.
You've watched, yeah.
And I'm just like, it seems like a crazy...
It's exorbitant.
Like, bike paths, cycling paths, trying to connect the city in ways that are not just, reliant upon combustion engines. Okay, great. But $150 million for 2 kilometers. So this is breaking out of council. You're seeing critics on both, at least in the center and the right, criticizing this. The mayor is defending it so far. But how on earth can this be determined to be good value when it feels like the city is cracking like a broken vase? We're spending $150 million on 2 kilometers. So I'd watch to see if the mayor decides to bail on this project.
All right, we got some good value for money out of you this morning, that's for sure. Scott Reed, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Take care.
All right.